So in this section, we'll look at some percent problems. Again, this is not much different than what you did in Foundations of Math. We're on the top of page 33, and this is our 7.4. So the first thing we need to remember is that of means multiply, and is means equals. So here we see 8.5 of 160, 8.5%. So the first thing is this is 8.5% of means multiply 160. We need to change this percent to a decimal, so we'll divide it by 100. That gives us 0.085 times 160. And then once we've got that decimal, or that percent changed to a decimal, then we can just type it into our calculator, and we get 13.6 is our answer. Here we have 35% of $20. So we have 35% of $20 is equal to something. We'll change this to a decimal first. So we get 0.35 times 20. And that would be 7. Because the 20 was dollars, the answer is also dollars, $7. So here we have 3 is what percent of 8? So we'll write 5 is, now we don't know what percent this is, so let's use a P of 8. So we'll solve this. This is really 5 equals 8p. So we'll divide by 8. We want to change that to decimal, so 5 divided by 8 is 0.625. Now I used p because I wanted to remind us that we're really looking for a percent, and this isn't a percent yet, this is a decimal. So we need to take 0.625 and multiply by 100, or just move the decimal place 2 places over, and we get 62.5%. So here we have our of, and here we have our is. We don't know what percent times 40 is 16. So we'll divide both sides by 40. 16 divided by 40 gives us 0.4. And we want a percent, so we need to take that and move that decimal place 2 places over, and we get 40%. During reshaping, 6 pounds of metal is removed from a casting originally weighing 80 pounds. So here's our sentence. What percent of metal is removed? So we don't know the percent. We're going to percent times something equals. So when it says of metal here, it's really saying what's the total amount of metal we're talking about. And that's this 80 here. And here it says removed. So here it tells us that 6 pounds were removed. So that's going to be our 6. So we'll divide both sides by 80, which gives us P is equal to 0.075. We want to change this to a percent, so we move it 2 places over, and we get 7.5%. So here we have 8.7 is 30% of something. So we have 8.7 equals 30%. We need to change to a decimal first. Every time you see that percent sign, you need to think divide by 100. So we're going to write that as 0.30 times, we don't know what. So we're going to divide both sides by 0.30. So 8.7 divided by 0.30 gives us 29 as our answer. So every percent you're going to change. You either change it in the beginning when you see a percent sign, or you change it at the end if you're trying to find a percent. So here we have 2 is 8% of the cost. So 2 equals, again, we're going to change this percent. That gives us 0.08 times the cost. So we'll divide both sides by 0.08. And we get 25 equals the cost. And because the 2 is in dollars, the 25 is in dollars. $2,800 actually spent on the job was $125 of the original estimate. So this was right here is really the same thing as is, and here's our of. So we have 2,800 is, now this percent we need to change, so we'll put 1.25 of, multiply the original estimate. Now this is what we don't know. The question says, what is the original estimate? So let's use E. We're going to divide both sides by 1.25. So we get 2,240 is equal to our estimate. Again, because of the context of this problem, this is money. So we need to put a dollar sign. Calculate 16 2/3% of 66. So here's our multiplication sign right here. We need to change 16 2/3 to a decimal. So we'll do 16 2/3 divided by 100. And this is what it was with the percent. So dividing by 100 moves it 2 places this way. So we get 0.16666. And if you use quite a few sixes, it does keep going for forever. But if you use quite a few sixes, then you can get an accurate answer by just typing it in like that. And that gives us 10.9999. And now we need to do some interpreting. So here, we couldn't really put all the sixes because they go on for forever. So here, these 9s, even though your calculator may show something different at the end, they really go on for forever. And so the actual answer here is 11. And we can see that directly if we did the work with fractions, it would come out as 11 exactly. Because this isn't exact, this isn't exact. Find what percent 990 is of. So this is a little bit weird, the way it's worded. But it's really saying 990 is some percent of 18. So we'll divide both sides by 18. And we get 0.55 equals the P. We need to change that to a percent. So we're going to multiply by 100 or move the decimal place 2 places over. And that gives us 55%. Here we have 12 is, now we have 66 2/3. So this is 2/3 repeating. We need to change it to a decimal, so we're going to move it 2 places back. So this is another one of those that is just going to be kind of close to the right answer. Because that 6 keeps on going forever. So we'll divide both sides by that repeating 6. And that gives us 18.000, and however many 6s it puts in, that will determine how many zeros you got. But again, remember that this was just a close number, which means this is a close number. So we really have to do a little interpreting, but we find out that 18 is our answer here. TV City asked you to make a 15% down payment on your purchase. The down payment was $210. So 15% of the cost is the down payment. So we'd write this as 0.15 times the cost, we don't know, equals 210. Divide by 0.15. And we get the cost is $1,400.